Alrighty, we are live from Columbus, OH, and this is answering your financial questions live with Coach Steve Money. That's me. I am a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. As I wait to hear myself. And that was me beginning the show. Have my personal volume turned way too loud, so let's try it now. That seems like it'll still be okay. And if you're having a problem with it, just let me know. Test. Yeah, it seems to be that it is going up into the red when I get very loud. So, and I'll try not to yell, of course. Where was I? Oh yeah, Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach, not just some guy from Ohio, and actually originally from Virginia, not Ohio. And if I can get to the correct, there's the correct screen. You're watching this on youtube.com/coachstevemoney, and of course, click the thumbs up. That's the like button. That means you like it, and please be doing that. youtube.com/coachstevemoney is the page, and for my financial content, just scroll past the Oak Island and Skinwalker Ranch playlist, and you'll see it right there. The Ramsey Show After Show playlist. There are 573 of those, and there are, how many? Today is number 169 of answering your financial questions. And I will be giving my schedule later verbally, but right now you can see it on the ticker below as far as the upcoming streams for this coming week. And as always, I do this show either the after show or answering your financial questions at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I do whichever one I can do based on my work schedule. So let's answer some questions. And of course, it's been a while since I've done this, but it does happen where I completely forget to get to the right question. And unfortunately, long time ago, I used to start from the top, but I do so many streams that I run out of questions, and I want to make sure I don't run out of any, and they only have 1,000 a time, and you would think that I would not get through those, but I guess I was streaming so much that that did happen. Let's see, what did we like 5? Allowances, paid off, no. Month ahead versus emergency fund. Yeah, this is close here. Pay off my house student loans, we're saving. And of course, some of these are very easy, like it's in the title, and you say, yes, that is the Ramsey advice. And then people type at least one, maybe several paragraphs as to why they think they're the exception to that. You don't have to follow Mr. Ramsey's advice, and I don't expect most people to do it, because most people won't do it because either or multiple of these reasons, they make their financial decisions based on a calculator alone. The calculator doesn't have a risk button, so you should not do that. Also, they don't want to sacrifice, and the Ramsey plan requires you to sacrifice in order to get your finances in a better shape, namely having steps 1, 2, and 3 done, which would give you a full emergency fund and all non-mortgage debt paid off, and that puts you in a better position, and that means you can save for a down payment if you don't already have a house. If you want one, that means you can invest, because you're not trying to save money for an emergency fund, and you're not trying to pay off debt anymore. So you have that extra money to invest the 15% that is recommended for of gross income that is recommended for retirement, addressing kid college if you want to help out your kids, if you have kids, and paying off the mortgage early. And those three you do all at the same time, unlike steps 1, 2, and 3, which you do one at a time without even thinking about higher steps. No, 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 and no. Concentrate on the step you're on. And some people look at this list and think that they really think that they should be doing all the steps at the same time, which seems pretty illogical to me, pretty dumb. Oh, I never did get to the right one. Let's see. Buy nice car, save up a house. At what point did it make sense to buy a new car instead of a used car? I did that one yesterday, I think, and I may have just previewed this one. Adept Son here. To buy a nice car or save up for a house. And, well, I don't know that this person, I can't remember, so splurge on a new car that's around 70 to 100K. Yeah, and so, I mean, that's even 50K would be way too much. But that's a no if you have other goals that you want to do, and one that I think would be a good priority, would take priority over having a nice car. How about something that you have to have, which is a house? How about you do that? Because, I mean, you don't have to buy a house. You don't have to have a mortgage. But certainly you need somewhere to live. And so that would be a much better expenditure of your 70 to 100K, especially since the car is going to depreciate or go down in value, and a house goes up or appreciates in value. And which is why Mr. Ramsey allows you within reason, and his within reason means that it is on a 15-year fixed rate mortgage, and the payment is around 25% of your take-home pay. Any more than that, and you're buying too much house. If you have to get a 30-year mortgage in order to afford the payments, then you're buying too much house. You're doing it wrong. This one deleted 60% of income. What to do with a scarcity mindset? That's interesting. Oh, just deleted there. It wasn't shut down, but just deleted. This person didn't want the clap back, I guess. Also, it might not have even read any comments. Could just be, I mean, the last time that I posted anything, every time somebody leaves a comment, they email you and let you know that somebody left a comment. Just in case you weren't paying attention to your social media, I guess. This is kind of it. If you're making the post, I guess that would qualify. For me, it's more like, I feel like, it's more like content. Purple Fairy, paying off student loans versus saving. Now, if you need new tires or something like that, you have a known expense that is definitely a need and not a want, then you can certainly save for it. But you do not just save extra money while you have your dumbass debt. That's a no. You need to pay off that dumbass debt. That's part of baby step 0 is you're deciding you're going to pay off your dumbass debt. You're not going to take out any more dumbass debt. Let's see. Finished my masters a year ago and currently I'm about 62. Okay, and soon I really want to pay it off ASAP because it's keeping me from starting my life. So then, if that's what you really want to do, why aren't you doing it? I mean, regardless of, I get it. People want other people's opinions sometimes. But again, I would probably just go to the source and see what Mr. Ramsey says about it instead of asking somebody on Reddit to weigh in about any particular subject. Because, of course, You do have the people here that think they know the Ramsey advice. You also have trolls on here that do not like the Ramsey advice, and they just give their dumbass advice instead of giving the Ramsey advice. So that's pretty dumb of this person to do. But again, if you really want to do it, and that is, of course, what Mr. Ramsey would do, and that's what he would say, to pay off the student loans, because otherwise you're debt leveraging in order to have the extra cash and savings. My income about $4,000 each month. I currently only have about $10K in savings. You should not even have that. Guess how much you should have? And I wonder where you could find the answer to this question. Oh, that's right. It tells you exactly in the baby steps. It gives you an actual number. See, people are nutty when they say, how much should I do for the emergency fund? And how much should I invest? It says it right here. This is a concrete number. $1,000 for your starter emergency fund, and that's the only savings you have. If you have more savings than that, guess where that goes? That goes to pay off any non-mortgage debt. Why don't people understand that? And yes, for the full emergency fund, it does not give you an exact number, but you can find that out because it does give you the formula. Save 3 to 6 months, and that's your choice. If you have a mortgage, I'm going to suggest 6 months and not anything lower than that. If you're renting and you're single, then maybe, and you have fewer expenses there as well. But then maybe 3 months is fine, but it is up to you. If it if you sleep better at night with 6 months, then do that. That's fine, even if you're not having a mortgage. But definitely if you have a mortgage, just because there's so much other things that can go wrong with a house, and you have to fix them if you have the mortgage. You cannot call the landlord to get that fixed once you have the mortgage on the property. But this gives you the variables. You get to pick the 3 to 6 number, anywhere between 3 and 6 months. And then you multiply that times your personal necessary expenses. And a lot of people they have their entire budget in there, including, eating out, investing. You would not be you don't do that in emergency time, so there's no investing, so you don't include that in the emergency fund when you're figuring that out. But it's anywhere, whatever number it is, any number between 3 and 8. 3.1, 3.2, whatever number you decide is fine. Again, recommend 6 months for somebody that does have a mortgage. And you multiply that by whatever the dollar amount is your expenses are. Say, let's make it easy math. $1,000, 6 months, that's 6 times 1,000 equals 6,000. Of course, probably for most people, 6 months of expenses is going to be more than that. 1 month of expenses probably more than 1,000, but I just use that for easy math. And it also says invest 15% right here of your gross household income. It says it right there. What up, Aslan? 62,000 debt, she says. Yeah, I didn't even focus on that. I just I just focused on the entire paying off debt in step 2 versus having a bunch more savings than $1,000, which the person already has. Already has 10,000? Only have 10K in savings. You're not supposed to have any. You're supposed to have the $1,000 and that's it. I am just now discovering financial literacy, better late than never, of course. So I'm planning on putting a larger percent of my monthly income towards my loans and pay them off quicker. Yeah, and you also put everything except $1,000 of your savings to there as well. You do not save extra while you're doing that. Should I put some of the 10K towards my loan as well? Yes. And if we do the simple math here, if you have your 10K and you take away the $1,000, that means you're putting 9,000 of it so that you only have $1,000. And The reason people can't understand it a lot of times is because they don't want to, because they want to do it their dumbass way instead of the proven way that Mr. Ramsey has worked out for you. Or should I leave the 10K alone as an emergency fund? No. And I mean, some people could think of it this way. Oh, well, I already have the 3 months. Okay, so I got that one done, so I don't need to do that one. So I guess I'll just do step 2 and then go to step 4. No, that's not how it works, babe. If you're doing step 2, you should only have 1,000. Everything other than the 1,000 goes to there. But anyway, what else does Aslan say? I would use 10,000 to pay down the debt and then get a second job to speed up paying off the student loan. And that is wise advice from Aslan, as per usual. KB, no, Cav, excuse me, Cav, KEVB, Cav 333. How long do people save for down payments? It doesn't matter. I'm sure there's an average number that you can take, any time where you can get all the data of how much all the people in the world have ever saved for down payments. You can get all that number and divide that by the number of the people and get the amount of time that they have saved. This has nothing to do with you. Do you know why? Because you probably don't have the average amount of income those people had. You also probably aren't choosing to have the exact amount of down payment that they're having as well. So there's just too many variables here. That doesn't matter. What you should do is try to save the down payment. Apparently that's a goal for you to buy a house. How about we prioritize that instead of going out to eat that much? And of course, guess what? Guess how much money, you will not believe how much money you save for a down payment if you're on baby step 1, 2, or 3. That would be donut day. That would be no down payment savings while you're on step 1, 2, or 3. Those 3 have to be completed first, and that's why baby step 3B, although it's not on here, this list on the Ramsey Solutions website, that's where it falls in. 3B, but right between 3 and 4 is baby step 3B, saving the down payment. And if you want to save a larger down payment faster, you can even delay starting investing until for up to 2 years per Mr. Ramsey. So that number can be 0, and all your extra money can go towards the down payment. What else do we have here? Making 70K gross. I put 15% of my pay towards retirement. Right. You can stop doing that. Share an apartment to bring rent down to 800. And that, of course, sharing an apartment can make you want to buy a house as well. So you don't have to share anymore. And very rarely spend money on fun. So that's great. So what's the problem? I don't understand the problem. Why do you need to know how long it takes people to save? It's going to be a wild number of variables there in people's lives that is going to change that number, and you probably don't share any of them. I've been doing this, put away about 30K a year into a house down payment fund and keep feeling discouraged whenever I look at the housing market. Well, yeah, that's why. That would be a good reason. It's probably going to keep going up forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And so how about we do a thing called we do it as quickly as possible and not try to do everything at the same time, such as the investing. And not worried about questions about how long do people. That doesn't matter. It matters how long you do it, and it just depends on how much a priority is. If it's not that much of a priority, then you can just do 30,000 a year into it, and it might take some time depending on if you live in a high cost of living area or not. If I want something that isn't obviously falling apart just based off online listing photos, I'd have to spend $280K. Okay, well, people love to exaggerate about how much houses cost. Sure, they cost a lot of money. And if you are in a high cost of living area, and you don't have a high cost of living salary, then the only hack for that is for you to make more money, get another job maybe, find some way to make more money, and also save longer for a huge down payment. And that's the only hack to be able to afford that. The Ramsey advice to keep you from buying too much house is not going to change just because you want to buy a house in a high cost of living area. So you'd have to spend $280. And again, this is the bull crap people talk about when they just don't like the cheaper houses. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm calling it, dude. Unless, I mean, obviously if this is Midtown Manhattan, $280K, yeah, that's probably garbage. A garbage house, probably. Or in California, $280K, probably a garbage house. But in the Midwest, that's a really nice house. So shut up with your dumbness and accept reality. And you're trying to justification station you having to spend that much. But that's just the way people do it. They always try to justify something, and they always exaggerate the situation. That isn't obviously falling apart. So dumb. If you would just be more ambiguous, I guess, or like vague, or not so like you're making it obviously falling apart. Just the language here is, oh, I have to spend $280 to get a decent house. No, you don't. Again, it does depend on where you live, and you might not be able to stay where you live. You might not be able to afford it. Anyway, if I just take out taxes from my pay, so ignoring insurances, investing, you are supposed to keep insurances in place during step 3B, during all of them. Getting insurances in place is part of baby step 0, and that is forever. Until, of course, you can be self-insured. But Mr. Ramsey himself has insurance anyway, even though he could be self-insured. But Mrs. Ramsey likes him to have that. The way he explains it is she would like more insurance on him instead of another diamond. Insurance is investing, right? The investing, again, you can stop that for 2 years to save for a larger down payment faster, which are automatically taken out of my paychecks. Yeah, and they could be unautomatically taken out as well. So you just have to tell them I have to put $200K for 71% down to have the monthly payments. Oh yeah. So yeah, you just can't afford it. So, and if you can to have the monthly payment be what Dave suggests, that's exactly what you should do. So you can only you'd have to put $200K down. And so you would, or are we up to a higher, let's take a look. Or did we switch from the 280 to something even more expensive? To have the monthly payment be 25% of my post-tax income. As Dave suggests. Yeah. So, and he does that on purpose to keep you from buying too much house. That would be another 5 years at my current savings rate of very little / no paid for fun when I've already saved 2 years. Well, you're not doing enough, obviously, because you are trying to invest at the same time. And so there is a plan. You just have to not be locked into woe is me mentality here by, oh, I can't get ahead because of this and this and this. And if you had just Googled what Dave says to do about that, you might have run into advice where he said you don't have to invest. You can not invest for up to 2 years while you save a larger down payment faster. You could also, again, get a second job. And of course, stop doing other things. Let's say, I just want to know how much y'all were sacrificing for and for how long before buying your house. That has zero to do with you. I feel like baby steps 4 to 6 were supposed to be the fun times, but it seems like if I don't stay laser focused and intense, that I'll never afford a house. Well, hey, guess what? If you're saving for a down payment, you're on step 3B. You're not on steps 4 through 6 yet, are you? See? People get dumb stuff in their mind and it just sits there and goes blah 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 and keeps like growing, and it's dumb stuff, wrong stuff, dumb stuff, wrong stuff, back and forth over and over again. And this is all assuming housing prices won't double again in the next few years like they did a few years ago. Double might be an exag. Let's see what Trey has to say. And Aslan, I've been babbling too much and not talk. Game. Aslan said he's actually doing it right and asking the right questions. I think his math might be wrong on how big his down payment will need to be. Yeah, that seems like that could actually be true. You cannot get a normal home loan on a home that is falling apart. That much is certain as well. Aslan always thinks of stuff I don't think of. How is the big update going for you? Done a day ahead of schedule. How to the... Oh, that was a question for Trey from Aslan. My bad. And he's done a day ahead of schedule of the port-to-port test running as we speak. Oh, he must be doing some wonderful nerd stuff. Updating software, probably. Sounds like. Aslan feels speedy. This person just admitted that FOMO is pushing her to make bad choices, right? Fear of missing out. And again, that's it. That's your average person and why they won't take the Ramsey advice, because they don't want to sacrifice. They don't want to miss out on anything, even if it involves taking on debt or more debt, or not trying to pay off your other debt, because we wouldn't want to do without a trip to Starbucks or anything like that. We wouldn't want to do without that, even though that would make our finances better. We don't want to do any of that generally. The average person doesn't. I didn't want to either for a long time, but I got smart eventually, so maybe other people can as well. Interest versus CG tax minimization. Yeah, I mean, this screams scheming and scamming to me. I think is what I said on just reading the title the other day and doing just a preview of the question. But certainly, if you can minimize your taxes on your tax return and it's legal, knock yourself out, do it. But it screams scheming and scamming, and when you're weighing interest on it versus taxes and so forth, that seems like it might be too much. In online role-playing games, we call that, and you probably still do call that, min-maxing, because you are minimally improving your character for doing sometimes months of work to like make the in-game money or do whatever you have to do to generate whatever in the game that allow you to make this particular weapon or piece of gear. And then, that gives you 0.0001 more spell power. And people do that, of course. I did that crap myself too, because that's basically how you play the game, and you want to be as powerful as possible, even if it's only a teensy tiny little bit. So this could be the same thing as you're talking about. Either way, if you're talking about saving $10, I don't know how much thought you want to do if it's going to be this hard to do instead of you just know how to do it already. I'm curious, has anyone come up with a justification on paying an appreciation tax on a taxable account or early withdrawal penalty on an IRA to eliminate interest expense? No, I don't think you would do that. I don't think you would. That's not what they're for. They're for you to build wealth, obviously. Or if you have a specific thing in mind, for Dave Ramsey's, for example, he has a taxable brokerage account, and that would be for his real estate money that he uses to buy properties in cash, and he waits until he has a super good deal for him, and that's how he is so successful at, because he doesn't buy something just because it looks nice or just because he's having fear of missing out of it. He only buys it again when it's a super good deal for him. My thinking, and this is your problem, you're thinking too much probably. Let's see, is that the time value of erosion of money? You wouldn't want to liquidate all net assets to trigger the tax. Yeah, well, why would you? What's going on that you would liquidate that? I mean, it would be to pay off debt if you had any debt. Any, non-mortgage debt. You would liquidate the taxable account because you shouldn't have had that in the first place while you had debt. Because your debt would have eroded a little more. I say, and the cost of tax eroded each year that passed. Maintaining assets in a Roth also provides a future tax reduction. Correct. You don't pay any in retirement when you take it out of the Roth IRA or Roth 401k because you don't pay tax on it when you withdraw it. Correct. My risk tolerance is low and I do have a tendency to speculate. Well, don't. That's dumb. Don't do that. It has made me increasingly anxious over time. Well, don't do that again. Why are you going to do stuff that... Did I move my webcam? I think I did. Let's see. I did. So you can see the messy part of my room there. I'm getting ready to move out of a nice apartment. There we go. There we go. All right. Where were we? Oh yeah, somebody being dumb again. Imagine that. Increasingly anxious over time, but I'm still doing it. So you might need counseling if you can't stop your speculating. I think about biting the bullet on taxes to, again, whatever, dude. The taxes versus it isn't the problem. It's you having debt. Because it sounds like you definitely have debt, and that's what you're talking about, doing it. And so the important thing here's the important thing, and you're losing sight of it probably, would be that you pay off your debt, and that is the most important thing, and how much you lose in taxes for it on anything that you have made in your brokerage account, taxable brokerage account, not a retirement account, so you can take it out anytime, no penalties, but you do have to pay tax on the gains. And so it's still probably a net positive for you, even after you take out the taxes. Just depends on how long you've had that thing open. But you should not have had it open, again, while you are doing that. And people don't seem to think about doing that. When they look at these baby steps, they see, oh, I'm not supposed to be investing until 15%. And if they would dig further into the Ramsey advice, it's only into retirement until you're in step 7. So that means you should not have a brokerage account there. And how you can fix that is you do not have one. You apply all that money to whatever baby step you're on. In this case, baby step 2. People still, this just in, people still nutty. Yep. Ba-ba-bum. If you have a low risk tolerance, Aslan says, why would you speculate? They don't seem to go together. That is correct. People are nutty, Aslan. They do that. I really don't like this, or really want to do this. Well, then, if you don't like it, why are you doing it? If you really want to do something, why aren't you doing it? What is the issue here? Two mutual funds. The one that might be what Dave is invested in. Right, the American Funds one. There's been a bunch of speculation on that based on hints that he's given, like the year it started, that kind of thing, which you can find out on the internet. And you can let's see. Started writing the scripts for import of the daily results for the market and created the base database structure. Just been busy at work. Yeah, work is a thing. Aslan is right. Those are opposing forces. Right. And somebody has to be nutty to not realize that. Or, my favorite thing in the world, people are too into their own head. They're too blinded by their own specific situation that they can't see it, whereas if it was their friends, they would just say, why are you doing that? But they can't say it to themselves because it's their own special little situation. And it's too personal. Mitch Wooden, YNAB, month ahead versus emergency fund. I've heard people doing this. I've heard of people have an emergency fund and also doing like month ahead. How specifically it's in, you need a budget. How that would work, I don't know because I have not used that app. I've seen a YNAB video where they basically said that they're the same thing with different names, but in my mind, it seems like they feel the same, but for the month ahead structure doesn't provide the same level of security. Has anyone done the math? This would be a case of Dave saying you're trying to find a way to not do the stuff, to not wait until you have the full emergency fund until you, like before you start investing, for example, in step 4. So it's a way to not do the stuff correctly. Paid off the house. Pork nipple already. Grew up very poor as a kid. My mom and I lived in cars and the occasional shelter. That doesn't sound fun at all. As a teenager is one word, and young man, I slept behind and ate from dumpsters from time to time. That is a rough life. Last week I paid off my mortgage. I'm the guy who is changing my family tree. I'm so proud. I've nearly wept a few times. I bet. I would too. That's a lot. I'm glad you were able to take your situation and do that. And you are the exact kind of person. If you can speak in public at all, you would do that for a living probably, because you know what it's like to take yourself out of that situation. I don't have any kind of story nearly like that. I was just a dumbass that used debt just like everybody else. And I'm renting. And so I don't have nearly that kind of cool story. So, but congratulations for doing that. That takes a lot to do that. You got people now that aren't even in that kind of trouble. And they can't sacrifice anything. They can't sacrifice that trip to Starbucks. So you could explain to them what sacrifice means and how much it's worth. Using the data, I found they have paid a little over 12% over their history. So I was thinking using them for future large cap investments. Alrighty, and of course 12 would be beating the 10%. Well, it's 10 to 12%. I believe, is still the number for the S&P 500. Of course, the NASDAQ has been beating the S&P 500 18 out of the last 20 years. And my large cap fund beats the NASDAQ. So not looking for a managed fund that makes money. You're leaving money on the table by just settling for index funds. So yeah, but I believe his all, I mean, he said, I believe his all are in American funds. For American, oh no, I think that's the name of the company, American Funds. How divide large sum? My goodness. How about how to divide large sum? Let's see. Good. This is from Reasonable Dingo 365. Is this from Australia, mate? Good day, maybe. Good day. We'll be raising a large sum of $500,000 from an inheritance. Receiving, maybe. Was wondering what's the best way to split this to pay off and invest. None. You pay off all of your stuff before you would invest any of it. Mortgage $580,000 at 3.375. Cosign kids student loans $240,000. Well, I mean, did you have an agreement with them on how they would do that? The co-signing was dumb as crap, for sure. No car, truck, toy payments, 401k, a year investing, 21,000 salary, 240. It's 21,000. 15% of that should be doing 15%. Bonuses 125k. Current retirement saving 225,000 at 49ers old. Okay, 49 years old. Are we talking incorrectly and it's just you're doing text to speech to text here and it's just saying what dumb stuff you're saying? I know this is a life-changing amount and want to use it for the best benefit. Okay, so here's what you would do for that. You see the $500,000 right there? That's what we have. And it would depend on if you consider the kids' student loans your debt. And guess what? Even if you don't consider it yours, if they don't pay it, it's your debt. So it would depend on how much you were supposed to pay to that or how much you were going to. And so what you would do is you don't do a split between paying off debt and investing. You do not do that. You just apply that entire $500,000 to the baby steps, whichever one you're on. So student loans would be baby step 2. And so if you had originally planned to pay it all off, or now that you have $500,000 coming to you, maybe you could just pay it all off. Does it say how much? 240,000? Yeah, so that's half. That would be half of it. So yeah, you could pay that off if you wanted to. And realistically, also what I would do, even if the kids are supposed to pay everything on it, they might not. So I would probably put that in a high yield savings account so that you can make some money on it while you're saving it up in case the kids don't pay in it, because you are liable if the kids do not pay for that. So that would be step 2. So 240 would take care of that if you're going to pay it off or just want to set it aside in case they don't pay it off. And if they end up paying it off, then you can take that money and use it for something else. But then you would have your full emergency fund, and you might have that already. I don't know. But you do have step 2 debt, even though it's just co-signing. Again, if they don't pay it, you are liable for it. Invest 15% of your household income into retirement. Did he say he was doing that already? Yeah, he's already doing that. So yeah, you would just be doing steps 4, 5, and 6 then. If the student loan debt thing wasn't a thing, you would be on steps 4, 5, and 6. But if that was only if you were supposed to pay that yourself, then there's no investing yet until that's completely gone, or you get the inheritance, and then that's completely gone, and then you would put the whatever the rest is. You would put it. You could divide that however you wanted to between step 4, 5, and 6. The kid's still in school. Do you still need to save extra for them, or is the 240 over for both of them? Is that all you have to do? So all that would depend, but what you do with any money, including an inheritance, including if it's a large sum like $500,000, you would just apply it to whatever baby step you're on. So, like for example, say that they're paying it all off, and they do somehow pay it off. Like I said, I wouldn't trust them. Sorry. I mean, even if they haven't been paying it and have been not been missing any payments or something like that, I'm not taking the chance. You got the inheritance, and that's a great thing. So that means you could pay it back immediately, but maybe you don't need to. But maybe you would like to with this inheritance. And so that would be a great thing for you. Of course, that's going to take half the money. And then I guess if you did that, since you're already investing, you just keep investing 15% of your income, and you don't have to put anything in investing from here, but you could pay off the house with that, or pay it towards the house. My mortgage is $580, so yeah. So can't completely pay off the house regardless, but you could put $260 at it on it, and hopefully that's $500K net that you get. Not then there's no lawyer fees or anything else that has to come out of it, but probably there will be. Boom, boom, boom. Forestry, the S&P is 9%. Since 1930, it's been 10%. All right, Aslan. The 25% housing rule, guess what? People don't like it because they don't make enough money to live where they're living, and they want to buy a really expensive house. That's the short story on that. So let's see. This is from No Cash 5479. Can someone please explain this like I'm 5, and this exact thing has been asked before about the housing rule? And to explain it like you're 5, and that's how I generally tend to go, in a very condescending way, and most of the time people absolutely deserve it because they're being dumb. Let's see, supposedly these are adults that are thinking about this stuff, and so they ought to be able to handle it. And I understand you might not like finances, numbers, that kind of thing might not be your strong suit, and so I get it. And so I'm fine if you want to have it explained to you like you're 5. Mr. Ramsey and his team use language that is purposefully not $10 college words. They do it in a way where you can understand it. A way in which, excuse me, the King's English here. I'm fairly competent in personal finance, if you say so, and I've listened to the show for years, and you listen to it years, and they didn't explain to you the 25% rule, huh? For some reason, every time they go over this, I confuse myself. See, yeah, probably that's it, because when they explain it, they explain it. So I don't know what about the explanation you don't understand, and can't wrap my head around what they mean. Okay, cool. I was going to say. So where I'm getting confused is the no more than 20% after taxes, but before insurance and something else. I think investing as well. Investing doesn't count either. It is going to be after taxes. And after Social Security too, I think. But it's after I think you don't count insurance and investing, I believe Mr. Ramsey has said. Perhaps Aslan could set me straight on that. Maybe she knows. But yeah, I believe it's the insurance and Social Security that doesn't count toward it, I believe. I mean, insurance and investing. So could someone give me an example with easy numbers so I can see how it works? Okay, I can't do that, but I mean, you can use round numbers if you would like, but again, see, I don't know what you would understand, what you wouldn't understand if you were told specifically, okay, get your pay stub and you can add back in the amount of investing and the amount of insurance, if that's it. Because you seem confident that it is insurance. So insurance would be the other one, and would be one, and then the other one probably investing. So you would take the number taken out for those two, and then put that back in. But also, does it change the number that much, where it's going to put you in a different bracket if you have that money back in there as well. So that's what you got to think about. So don't be thinking you found your hack into buying a more house than you should by being able to add the insurance and investing back in there, because that still overall it's not in the idea of in the realm of buying a house, it probably is not going to be that as significant as you want it to be. And that might also be keeping people sabotage themselves so that they don't get bad news for themselves like this all the time. Let's see what Trey has today. Trey is 25% housing plus 15% retirement plus 10 tithing equals half your income. So be precise with your money. Okay. Actually, that would be a good thing for Dave to put up on a screen. Example for a house and income. That is a good idea, Aslan. So, I mean, it never occurred to me like that before. And like I said, I'm a Ramsey coach, and I don't even know, so I can't give my boy the too big of a like I can't call him a dumbass or anything like that, because I don't know it for sure either, which things it is. But it is not everything that they take out that much, I know for sure. And this person sounds like they think insurance is one of them, and I think it's investing as well. Maybe laid off soon. Competition no. 3570. 54 years old with bonus salary around $300K a year. Not if you're going to be laid off. It's not. $1.3 million in 401K. 418K in E-Trade, mutual funds, and 20% NVIDIA. We shouldn't be doing single stocks. We also should not be doing a brokerage account unless you're in step 7. Pension from job would pay about $8K a month, or I can take a $1.4 million lump sum. Mortgage rate at 2.25% and will be paid off in about 5 years. Yeah, you do not have $418,000 in an E-Trade account that's not that's not a retirement account, and also have a mortgage. You're doing it wrong, Mr. Laid Off Soon. If you had your house paid off, I would worry way less about being laid off. How old are you? 54? I'm a frugal bastard. Too frugal, but you're doing it wrong. Maybe too frugal, because you are doing it wrong. You want to save your cash and invest instead of pay off the house, which means, guess what you're doing? Debt leveraging. Live in modest home and have a paid off SUV. It's modest. Then why haven't you paid it off already then, my man? No credit card debt. Great, but I do splurge on a few vacations a year. Yep. If laid off, severance would be 1 year's salary, and of course, I would file unemployment soon after being laid off. How stressed should I be about potential layoff? I would be way less stressed if my house was paid off. So that would be the advice. You still might not want to wait until your as far as your 401k. You can't take anything out of that, but you probably don't need it since you have $418,000. And where's that pension? Where's the pension again? So, I mean, he did say pension. Oh, pension from job would pay $8K a month, or I can take $1.4 million lump sum. Okay, and if you invest the $1.4 million, that generates 140 a year, 140K a year, and so divided by 12. So if you can live on, it depends on what your living situation is. I mean, do you need $3,000 a year? You would not need that, all that, if you had your house paid off, because you would have no mortgage payment. So I would say do that, but I would figure out something to do for the next 5.5 years at least. But you might want to work longer than that. I mean, you might be able to go part-time. We would have to look at plenty of different numbers that you did not provide as well, though. Being a frugal bastard would help with that as well. But you're doing it wrong, having more investing than just your 15% in retirement. So you've done it wrong. So you're doing it wrong still. And so how stressed should you be about potential layoff? Oh, and it's maybe laid off soon. Okay, so it has to be at least a 51% chance. Otherwise, you just do the baby steps just like normal. And you don't change anything and you don't worry about it. It has to be a 51% chance. It gets you. You don't stress. You should not, anyway. People do all the time. But you should not be stressing or have financial questions about it if it's just general worry about being laid off, because everybody is worried about that. Not me in particular, but just in general, a bunch of people are, because all they got to do is watch the news for a couple seconds and you'll think the sky is falling. A few vacations a year. Trey's saying that's more than excessive. Yeah. How much each one is costing and what that looks like as far as his other expenditures. So there's just so much we don't know. But has the money in retirement and the pension, got the pension options as well. And does that not change? Is that 100% gonna be that number, the 8K per month, or you can take the $1.4 million lump sum whether you get laid off or not? So that would be plenty of questions that we would have for this guy. How many? 301 comments. So not waiting in there to see if he gave any of the extra needed info. What's up? 12389. Forgot some numbers in there. That's okay. Continue to rent versus owning. Well, the idea, if you own, even if you get a mortgage to make the payments and pay it off early, as you should on baby step 6, then you don't have a rent or mortgage payment anymore. And that can really help as part of your retirement plan. So to have it paid off, that's one of the first things I thought about for this person. If the house was completely paid off, it will be paid off in 5 years. And the reason it's not paid off already is because he was doing it wrong, investing money instead. He was debt leveraging. So how about if you're talking about how stressed you should be, quit doing stressful things like debt leveraging. How about you follow the Ramsey advice? Proven advice, 20 million documented success stories, and then you don't have to be stressed. You have no reason to be. Continue versus down. Owning. A little about me, okay? Things that we don't need to know, probably, but let's go ahead. 31 man lawyer, making solid money with capability to save $100,000 a year or so. Finally debt free after paying off student loans last year. Great. And 25K in emergency fund. Great. 105K net worth between truck, 401K, 20K or so, and 10K in brokerage on mutual funds. Pre-approved with excellent credit. Okay, well, we don't give a damn about the credit score because you shouldn't be interacting with debt anymore. So, but you just paid off your stuff now, I guess. And so you would still have that credit score for a while. It doesn't disappear immediately. So, but what you can do, in addition to the 100K a year, you can also stop investing for 2 years in order to save up a larger down payment faster. Paying about $3,500 a month in total expenses in Miami. Bienvenidos a Miami. I hear the rainstorms ain't nothing to mess with. Forgot the lyrics there for a second. What's the other one? My other favorite one? Oh, water so clear you can see to the bottom. $100,000 cars, everybody got them. And that was in the 80s, kids. $100,000 cars in the 1980s. The 1900s, kids. Yep, I'm from the 1900s. No kids, no commits aside from rent, food, insurance, and gas. I've been pouring every penny of disposable income in SP 500 mutual fund with low expense ratio. Well, yeah, because it only makes the amount from the S&P 500 index, and so you're leaving money on the table by doing that, by not having a managed fund. But you shouldn't be doing that anyway. You should only be investing in retirement. While the second you decide you're going to save a down payment, then you're not in step 7 anymore. And so you can't do step 7 things like have these extra investment accounts. That's non-retirement. Here's my dilemma. Trying to understand the real benefit of buying versus renting. And it's been tough justifying paying a bank 2 to 3 times the value of the property and interest over 30 years. Oh, my friend, you must not be familiar with the Ramsey advice. There's no 30-year mortgage, you nut. Versus using that money paying rent, enjoying compound interest. You can do that for the rest of your life if you want to. But that, again, that rent expense is going to continue for the rest of your life if you do not buy a house. So, I mean, my name is Paul, and that's up to y'all. You can choose to do that if you would like. The idea is that you pay it off, that you buy a house and you pay it off before retirement, so that way you don't have a rent payment or a mortgage payment in retirement. 10 years of savings, dumping SP 500, understanding nothing is guaranteed, but relying on recent data. To me, while continuing to rent makes mathematically more sense. Thanks in advance. If it makes sense to you mathematically, and mathematically is all you want to work on, then why stop at the Reddit? Why not just go into your I don't know where I was telling you to go into. Oh, to go into your I guess you don't have to change anything because you're already doing it. So why don't you just keep doing what you're doing? So, but if you want to know the reason why, it's so you don't have to pay rent or a mortgage anymore eventually after you pay it off. But that's going to put an end to your little debt leveraging that you're doing, my friend. Congratulations on being out of debt. And that's certainly part of it, but also you would not would not be investing extra while you still have a house payment. So as soon as you would buy the house and have the mortgage, and again, it's not going to be a 30, so I don't know what prices are in Miami, so you would know. So that might also turn you off to buying because of how expensive the payment's going to be in a 15-year mortgage, because you're thinking about it wrong with your 15-year mortgage. Trey is out. Trey bounced before Aslan did. Off to drive-in theater. Take care. What are you watching? I'll have to find out if she's gone. I'll have to find out from her later. What movie, I wonder? That would be fun. The Superman movie would be fun to see in a drive-in theater. Sorry. That was a good one. I have seen that one recently. And what else did I see? Fantastic Four. That would probably also be good in drive-in, but less so. I like Superman better. They were both good though. And even Happy Gilmore 2 was funnier than I thought it would be. Very nice. And of course, always good nostalgia for us olds. Let's do one more. Healthy Twinkie pension 457B retirement. Let's see. Hello, hi guys. I'm trying to find retirement calculations that factor in a defined benefit plan and also a 457B. I'm 34 years old, making $100,000. I'll be able to retire and collect a pension at 44. Okay, my retirement is 51% of my top 3 years. Raise about 10% every other year. I also have a 457B with a balance of $69,000. The $69,000 isn't doing a lot for you right now, but as it grows, you know, if you're 25, then that makes a lot of difference. If you're rather than if you're 54 like the other person. I've been contributing $600 a month into that. No debt besides a mortgage of $217,000. You should only be doing 15% into retirement, but since you have a pension, if you are putting any contributions into that pension, that only counts as half towards the 15%. You know why? Because the pension does not make as much as the market does, as a retirement investing account would. Slush fund savings account of $18,500. We do not have that. We have an emergency fund. We don't have a slush fund. Slush fund allows you to be and puts you in the mindset of not being intentional. We want to be intentional, so there is none of those. You have the emergency fund and you have a sinking fund for no specific known upcoming expenditures, not a slush fund. We do not have that. Any guidance, forecasts, or ways to improve would be appreciated. Thank you for your time. I would need the other information, as I said. If they give you that pension, not great. Knock yourself out. You should still be doing 15% of gross income into retirement yourself. So if you're not doing that now, then you should be doing that. But if you do put into a certain percentage into the pension, then you take that percentage and you divide it in half, because that's what it's worth as far as the part of the 15%, because the pension makes less than the market. And we have what is tomorrow. There might be a stream tomorrow night at 8 p.m. if I get back in town in time. I'm going to the state up north, visit my daughter tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be home at 8 p.m. Eastern time, but if I am, then there will be a stream, 8 p.m. stream, just like tonight. Alrighty, and as far as upcoming streams, including that one, let's go ahead and reset the plugs and give them. I'm Coach Steve Money. I'm a Ramsey Solutions Certified Financial Coach, and you can schedule a consultation with me, assessment with me, by emailing coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Donations can go to paypal.me/coachstevemoney. Alternatively, Cash App at $CoachSteveMoney, or Walmart gift card to that same email address, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Upcoming streams, as always, subject to change at the very last minute as well sometimes. So, and sorry if you come to see a stream and I don't end up doing one. Very, very sorry about that, but nothing I can do about it. The Ramsey Show after show shows. When I do those are at 11:05 a.m. Eastern, and that's going to be Monday, August 18th, and Thursday and Friday, August 19th and 20th. That's not right for the days on that, is it? I'll fix that, but it's the Monday. Monday is March 17th. Monday is the 18th, but then the Thursday and Friday dates are wrong. Sorry about that. But Tuesday and Wednesday, August 21st and 22nd, for the 8 p.m. streams, and maybe one Sunday night also at 8 p.m. It depends again if I am back in town in the OH from the state up north, visiting my daughter. Alrighty. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. And as always, make smart financial decisions every day. Don't do it wrong.